Okay, we're back for more daily college basketball best bets. We are on the Final Four of the NCAA tournament, but this week before that, we've got college basketball crown and we've got the NIT Final Four as well. So today marks the start of the CBC. Tomorrow we have 4 more games in the college basketball crown, but today we have 4 matchups in the tournament. We'll go over the entire bracket tomorrow, but today, 4 standalone games, or 4 games in this tournament. Utah versus Butler, George Washington versus Boise State, Nebraska versus Arizona State, and Washington State versus Georgetown, all at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. There we go. In Las Vegas, Nevada. So we're going to get into all 4 of these games. And folks, before we get into the best bets, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. We've still got at least another week of college basketball here, of course, before the offseason. Okay, and before we get into the video, make sure to go check out our daily NBA predictions, our daily MLB best bets that was posted earlier today, and our UFC Fight Night Emmett versus Murphy predictions. That's on Greedo Plays MMA. Go subscribe to that channel because today we are doing our PFL predictions on Greedo Plays MMA as well. Make sure to go check that video out. Okay, let's go on to the first of our 4 games today. Starting things off, Butler and Utah. I like the Utes here. They are underdogs. I think I know why, but on paper, Utah was much better than Butler this season. Guys, Butler was, I don't want to say disgraceful, but they were just really bad this year. They were atrociously bad. 4-19 as a whole. In the Big East, they went 6-14. We know the Big East didn't see the most success in the NCAA tournament, but just wait till Donovan Dent takes over Xavier University next year. Xavier is going to win the Big East next season. I'm just saying, Pitino versus Pitino in the Big East Championship game. Just wait. Regardless, Butler did not have a good year. I mean, it started in their non-conference schedule where they lost at home to the Bison of North Dakota State. They then went on to lose 9 games in a row in the Big East, and yet they still found their way into this tournament, which is a little surprising, I'm not going to lie. They won 1 Big East Conference tournament game over Providence, and this is what the entire crown is, right? It's a bunch of teams that are, not mid-majors. They're all Power 6 conference teams. But some of these squads aren't the best, right? I mean, we've got Butler in here. We're going to get to Arizona State later on in the video, who was, 7 games under 500. I get what they're going for. This is the new NIT. It's just a shame teams like Indiana, who should have been in the NCAA tournament, but still, it's a shame that they declined this, and all these other schools declined to go to this, because the only way we build prestige around the college basketball crown is by the teams who actually missed out in the NCAA tournament, the best teams to actually go to this. So this is why we get stuck with Utah and Butler. Now, the Utah Utes were a major disappointment at the end of the year. Now, we'd never expected Utah to make a run in the Big 12, but my goodness, they get to the Big 12 tournament and they lose their first game right away to UCF. Everything starts and ends with this team with Gabe Madsen, right? Madsen's by far their best guy, averaging 15 points a game this season. He's the all-time leader in three-point shooting in Utah Utes history, program history. Now, I believe Utah's got some transfers going on. This is the problem with the crown, unlike the NIT and obviously the NCAA tournament, is that this is starting on the last day of March. Today's March 31st, and this will continue. The second day of the tournament is April 1st tomorrow. So that's the problem with this, because some guys are in the transfer portal. I do believe Utah is going to be missing some guys. I'm not entirely sure about Butler, but they hired Alex Jensen to be their new coach. Now, Jensen was is a Utah Jazz executive, if I'm not mistaken, but he's not going to, or assistant coach for the Jazz, but he's not going to be coaching this tournament. So I guess they're just going to have an interim coach coaching this game. I don't think that plays the biggest difference, and I think Utah wins. Again, I know Gabe Madsen's going to play this thing, and Gabe Madsen, obviously, he's a senior. He's got nothing else going. I don't think maybe he'll do something in the Euros or in the G League next year, but this is primarily Gabe Madsen's last shot, right? It's his last chance to play college basketball. Utah, a 16-16 team in the regular season. Butler, a 14-19 team. I don't like Butler, man. This team could not get it going this season. Jamil Telfort was their leading guy, scoring 16 points a game. Pierre Brooks II averaged 15, and Patrick McCaffrey averaged 11 points a game as well. Andre Screen is their big. But, man, they just lost so many big-time games this season. I get it. They won 1 game in the Big East tournament against Providence, but I don't like this team at all. They give up a bunch of points. And Utah, not the biggest scoring threat, but they do have games this year where they scored 99 points against Arizona State, another team in this tournament. So I just expect Utah to get running early on this Butler team, and I just don't think Butler's going to be able to match them shot for shot, and I just like the offense better out the Utah Utes tonight, or in the day game. So at noon, we're going to be taking the Utah Utes. It's our first play of the day. I really like this. I don't know why Butler's getting so much respect. I get it. Utah has some portal moves going on. But I've not seen anything saying that Gabe Madsen's not going to play. And if Madsen has a great scoring night, unlike what he did towards the end of the year, I think Utah is going to be just fine. Expect Madsen to go over 20 points tonight and the Utah Utes to advance to the second round of the college basketball crown. The first ever CBC game, we are taking the Utah Utes. To our second game of the night, and we go to Boise State versus George Washington. This is a mismatch. And by the way, we get Utah at minus 105. They're underdogs. So really like that play to kick off the day. George Washington versus Boise State. This is a mismatch, guys. This is a mismatch to the highest degree. Okay? It just is. I've watched a lot of both these teams this season. George Washington is nowhere near the level of Boise State, nor is the A10 beyond VCU and George Mason anywhere near the Mountain West. Loyola Chicago, I'll give them some credit. Because they're in the Final Four of the NIT playing Chattanooga tomorrow. But beyond those squads, yeah, the A10 wasn't very good this season, comparatively speaking to the top of the Mountain West, obviously, right? I mean, there's teams in the Mountain West like Wyoming, Fresno State, and Air Force who are absolutely horrible. Now, Boise got snubbed in the tournament. If they would have beaten Colorado State in the Mountain West Championship game, they definitely would have got in because they would have got the automatic bid. Now, Nate Clifford and the guys for Colorado State had a decent run in the tournament, winning a game, ultimately losing to the Crab Five in Maryland. But Boise State now in the college basketball crown, and they should be one of the favorites to win this entire thing. I'm not joking. I mean, Nebraska, I guess, potentially. Villanova is going to be hyped up a little bit. Maybe USC. But I think the favorites by far should be Boise. This is a team that probably should have been in the tournament, or they were right on the border of making the tournament or not. And they get gifted the matchup here at the Revolutionaries. A George Washington team that struggles offensively a lot. Yes, you'll see, they scored 88 points against Fordham in the first round of the A10 tournament. They scored 81 the game before against Fordham. Now, guys, this offense does not get going, and they're not very good. I've seen them completely shut down offensively for extended periods of times in all of their games. Rafael Castro is their main scorer. He averages 14 and 9 a game. Gerald Drew Magul averages 11. He's all right, and Darren Buchanan's just okay. He averages 11. Trey Autry is going to give you 10 points a night as well. Boise State has by far the best player on the court. That's Tyson Degenhart. He averages 18 points a game. It's a good tournament for him to get in because it's a tournament where ultimately he can probably win player of the tournament, being a senior in his last year playing collegiate ball. You get Alvaro Cardenas, who played really well in the regular season, hit some big shots for Boise, didn't really perform in the Mountain West tournament, at least once they got to the final two games. Against New Mexico, he had 6 points. Against Colorado State, he had 3, but Cardenas is a guy who's going to be having the ball. He's going to have the ball in his hands for most of the game. He's a senior as well. Hell, he had 12 assists in the New Mexico game, 8 assists in the Colorado State game. So expect Cardenas and Degenhart to be the two main guys for this squad. Andrew Meadow averages 12.5 points a game as well for Boise, and they are just better than the George Washington Revolutionaries. Guys, the Revolutionaries game, and if you've been watching the channel all year long, I appreciate you for doing so, but you'll remember we had them, I think the last time we ever took George Washington was when they played Richmond on New Year's Eve, and they looked absolutely god-awful. No one could hit a shot other than Gerald Drew Magul, and that was the last time I think he led their team in scoring the entire year. He had 27, so it has been a lot of Rafael Castro recently. Castro getting the ball into the paint and working from there. I mean, we'll see. Degenhart's going to be down there as well. Javon Buchanan, is another one of their bigs. I don't know. I've seen Boise shut down good bigs before. They limited Nelly Jr. Joseph to the best of their ability when they beat them in the Mountain West tournament. And I just don't think George Washington offers Boise much resistance. Guys, again, I think this is the main thing to take into account here. Boise beat St. Mary's this season. They beat, Murkauskas, Marcelonis, and Mitchell Saxon over there. That's a good team. They beat them in overtime. It was a neutral site game. But Boise has big wins like that this year. What is George Washington's best win all season long? Legitimately, what is it? St. Louis? I mean, they beat St. Joe's this year? I don't think they did beat St. Joe's. Yeah, their biggest win is probably St. Louis. URI, maybe? I mean, they don't have a big win all year long. I really don't think that they beat Boise here. This is a Boise State team that has better players, and Degenhart is a walking, 20-point per game guy. I think Boise should get this game easily, and I really don't think it's a competition. So again, I think Boise right now is my favorite to win the entire thing. We're taking the Boise State Broncos minus 8.5 here against the George Washington Revolutionaries. If you want to parlay the money line, you can minus 400. I guess you could just parlay the 4 winners we have today. Actually, I just parlay the last 3 because just take Utah by itself. Anyways, give me Boise State. The Broncos win this game minus 400, minus 8.5. Boise State picks up the win in the second crown game. It's only $10 to get in the building for this. That's crazy. Give me Boise State to beat George Washington. To our third game of the day. Arizona State takes on Nebraska. Now, I did mention, parlay the 3 winners. And yeah, this is probably the one I feel the worst about. I do feel even better about the next game, and I get it's a 3-point line for Washington State versus Georgetown. I'm not confident in Nebraska. I think they should win this game, but my goodness, the end of their season was the absolute worst. This team hasn't played a game, guys, in 3.5 weeks because they didn't make the Big Ten tournament. So Nebraska, to refresh your memory, right, after their win against Northwestern on the road, it looked like, okay, this team, I'm not joking, needed to win one more game the rest of the season, and they would have gotten in the NCAA tournament. Because if they would have got the chance in the Big Ten tourney, potentially they win a game there. But anyways, all they needed to do was win one more game in the regular season. If they beat Michigan in that low-scoring affair, 49-46 in Lincoln, they would have gotten in the tournament. They lost that game. Actually, Indiana didn't get in. But Nebraska's resume was pretty decent, and they beat Indiana. So, no, they would have gotten in because they beat Creighton. Anyways, this team loses to Penn State on the road. Bad loss. Should have won that one. They play Michigan and lose to them at home 49-46. They lose to Minnesota on their own court 67-65. They play the double overtime game against Ohio State and Columbus. They lose 116-114. Bryce Williams in that game scores 43 points. And they play Iowa in their last game of the season at home to get into the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, and they lose it to the Hawkeyes. Season over. So you thought they're in the crown, which is kind of funny because they're only here because Indiana declined. But it's okay. Like, did Rutgers decline too? I assumed Rutgers declined because I actually get really excited for Rutgers in this tournament, even though I think Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper probably would have declined to play in this. And that's probably why Rutgers declined to play in this. Anyways, Nebraska, Arizona State. Nebraska is the better basketball team. Don't get me wrong, guys. Arizona State won 4 games in the Big 12 this season. They went 4-16. Oh, that's pretty brutal. That's pretty bad. Arizona State's already lost a couple guys in the portal. They lost, who was it? It was, I think one of their guards went to St. John's. Yes. One of their guards went to St. John's. I think BJ Freeman is sticking around because BJ Freeman's a senior. I thought he was a junior. Yeah, they're screwed. They're screwed. Well, BJ Freeman's been out for the second half of the season, but I thought he was a junior. I thought he was coming back next year. Jaden Quayton's, is going to be a very good basketball player. Quayton's 17 years old this year for Arizona. I think he's 18 by now, but he was a big time guy for them. I have not seen, is he leaving? I'm pretty sure he hasn't left yet. I guess Quayton's will stick around. Again, he's a big potential guy. I could see him definitely playing in the NBA in a couple of years. Regardless of all of that, guys, Arizona State, it doesn't matter who they have on the court. They were god-awful this year. They were horrible. They won 4 games in their own conference. They were 6 games under 500. They were 13-9. Their biggest win was definitely, they somehow went on a back-to-back streak and beat New Mexico and St. Mary's in back-to-back games in November. Back-to-back nights in their tournament, which is insane looking back on it. How the hell did they beat those teams? They beat Santa Clara as well. They beat West Virginia on the road, but this team finished the year on a 5-game losing streak. They go to the tournament, the Big 12 tournament. They lose to Kansas State by 5 points. Boom, season over. I get it, Nebraska's been god-awful, but no, they're going to beat Arizona State, guys. Arizona State could not get anything going. They give up so many points. Sure, they can score as well, but no, they cannot stick in the game with Nebraska. Bryce Williams, a player who averages 20 points a game, we talked about his 43-point ball game in the double overtime loss to Ohio State. He is more than capable of doing that. Juwan Gary is a good scorer as well. Those 2 guys will put up 100 points today on Arizona State. I'm not joking. They will score 100 on them. I fully believe it. Arizona State doesn't play defense. They can score, but they just get boat raced in every single game they play. So I don't care how bad Nebraska's been. I know that the 40-point, performance where they scored 40 points as a team, not Bryce Williams. When they scored 40 points against Michigan, I know that stands out, but this team can score. They could not figure it out at the end of the year. I think they were just pressing too much, trying to get into the NCAA tournament, trying to follow the Tomi Naga magic from last season, I guess, with guys like Williams and Gary returning to the team. This is their shot. They're going to beat Arizona State. I don't feel confident in the 5.5 points. That's why I suggest if you want to bet on this, just parlay it with the last game we had with Boise State, and then just parlay our next winner as well if you really want someone to bet on for these games. 5.5 feels like a lot, but it does make sense at the same time. Arizona State, again, are nothing defensively. They give up wide open shots. I mean, they're the team this year who played UCF, and that was the game where Hall had 40 points, and he sat for half the game. Yeah, I think Keyshawn Hall played 30 minutes and scored 40 points against Arizona State earlier this year. So, I mean, stuff like that happens to Arizona State. That happened on their own court in Tempe. They're in Las Vegas, neutral site game, let's be honest. It's probably going to be an empty building. I hope there's a crowd, but there probably won't be. It's college basketball in soon to be April in Las Vegas. I saw the Mountain West tournament got decent attendance, but like watch the Big West tourney, there was nobody there other than the fans. So the West Coast tournament was nobody there, but other than the fans from the schools. And the West Coast tourney, there was absolutely nobody there. And then the WAC tourney was silent. So I don't know. I'm taking Nebraska, though, to win this basketball game. Give me Bryce Williams and the guys. They should be able to boat race Arizona State here. The Sun Devils will not be able to keep up. Final game of the night, we go to Georgetown versus Wazoo. I'm taking the Hoyas. Okay. I want the Hoyas to be good. I've said this a million times this season. I wanted this team to be really good. They're not the best, but I think they're ultimately able to win this game. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Sorber's already in the transfer portal. Now, he was out for the second half of the year anyway, so it's not like he's going to be playing this. But towards the end of the season, right, it was Micah Peavy and Jaden Epps trying their hardest to keep this team afloat. So with Micah Peavy being a senior, I'm assuming he's going to play this. He doesn't, I don't think Micah Peavy's got the most NBA potential. And Jaden Epps, I have not seen anything on him yet not playing this. So, to my knowledge, both Epps and Peavy are playing. Okay, that should be enough for Georgetown to win this basketball game. Yes, no Sorber hurts. Drew Fielder was their guy. It was their big towards the second half of the season. That's okay. This team really fell apart towards that tail end of the year. But you want to talk about a fall off? Yeah, we can talk about Washington State basketball. Guys, I had hope for this team. I'm not going to lie. Going into the season, I was like, okay, well, this team could be number 3 in the West Coast this year. Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Say however you want, 1 and 2 are on them. And I was like, okay, I think Wazoo can be better than USF and Santa Clara. Now, they beat San Francisco to start the season. They then proceed to go 0-3 the rest of the way against both Santa Clara and USF. Sorry, 0-4 against those teams. I don't know. I watched Wazoo in person this year. They're not very good, Calmise is solid, and Lawan Watts will do everything. He's going to put up big numbers. I think he had near a triple-double at the game I was at. I know he had double-digit rebounds in the game I was at. Lawan Watts, no, he did have a triple-double. He went 20, 11, and 10 in Santa Clara in a game that they lost 93-65. So that's the thing. Like, they can put up that type of effort, and they're still going to get blown out like that. Cedric Coward's a guy who's been hurt the entire season. He got injured in the Eastern Washington game in November. I assume he's going to get a medical redshirt year for this year, so he'll be back next season. But regardless, I don't know if he's going to be back at Wazoo. But it's just Calmise and Watts. Ethan Price isn't horrible. Eric Strip isn't bad either. But Wazoo, man, they finished the year so ice cold. And I get it. They beat San Diego, Pepperdine, and Loyola Marymount to close the year before getting eliminated by San Francisco. I don't care. San Diego sucks. Pepperdine, it was a nice run, but that was before their run towards the end of the year, so whatever. And then LMU's not good. Okay, so against any reasonable team, and I get the Big East, and Georgetown laid an egg this season. Trust me, I'll talk about Georgetown's losses. But I value Georgetown's losses, hell, even to DePaul, better than I do Wazoo. I know, again, I'm not saying, okay, I think Santa Clara, Zaga, and St. Mary's would all beat the crap out of DePaul. I don't know about Santa Clara. They really just disappointed me this year. Anyways, though, still think they beat DePaul. Regardless, though, Wazoo was losing by 30 points and 40 points to Santa Clara twice. There's just a difference. And I think Georgetown coming out the Big East, I get it. The 3 losses this season to DePaul was embarrassing stuff, okay? I remember that Big East tournament game, first round against DePaul at the Garden, they lose. I'm like, okay, no shot they lose to DePaul 3 times a year. I mean, we joked about it after they lost the first time around. We're like, okay, they're not going to lose back-to-back games to DePaul. They ended up doing it 3 times in a row, right? Micah Peavy had 29 and 26 in back-to-back games against DePaul, and it still wasn't enough. But still, I think losing to DePaul is much better than Wazoo getting blown out in West Coast Conference games. And how they went to Stockton and lost to the Pacific Tigers this season. They lost at Corvallis, not horrible, but they lost at San Francisco, right? I mean, they've lost so many big-time games this season. Not even big-time games, they just lost so many games. They lost to Washington. I get it, Washington's probably better than DePaul, but still, right? Too many losses for my liking. And yes, Georgetown was 17-15 this season. Wazoo was 19-14. It's a padded 19-14 though. Again, they got to play Loyola Marymount, Pacific, Portland, and Pepperdine twice this season, right? So I think Georgetown does get this one, right? I mean, Wazoo with Calmise and Eric Strip and Lawan Watts, I don't think they're better than the Hoyas. I think, again, Peavy and Epps, and Micah Peavy's going to be the best player on the court tonight. Jaden Epps should be able to give them a good scoring night as well. The only thing is, this is a late night game in Vegas. I mean, it's going to be 11 o'clock for Georgetown, at least, playing in Las Vegas. Wazoo's used to these late night games because it's going to be at 8 o'clock. I don't think it plays the biggest difference, and I do think Georgetown wins, and I think they beat Wazoo by a pretty fair margin. I feel like eventually, I mean, again, well, it's the end of the year. Georgetown's got to come through for us once this year, right? Because I feel like they have never done it the entire season. But Wazoo, I just think they're outmatched. I think Georgetown beats them by about 10. I'm serious. Like, Wazoo is not going to be able to keep up scoring-wise, and they don't play the best defense. So, in terms of ranking these real quickly on confidence, I'd go probably 1 Boise State. I guess on spreads. Yeah, still. I think Boise State blows out George Washington. Then I'd probably go Utah. Then I go Georgetown. And then I go Nebraska. But it's still, on a parlay, I don't mind Boise State, Nebraska, Georgetown. Personally, that's how I'm going to play it, I think. If I do. And then I'm definitely betting Utah early in the morning, or I guess at noon. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here for March 31st. We'll be back tomorrow for April 1st. Where we have 6 games in college basketball. That means we can actually have some selections. It'll be 5 best bets tomorrow. We'll talk about the 6th game, but not in full. So make sure to join us for that tomorrow, folks. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to go check out our MLB best bets posted earlier today and our NBA predictions posted later today as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching. And Mamba forever.